Okay, going into our next trending topic here, 50-year mortgage. I've heard both sides. I watched PBD. I guess they did it on last Wednesday. They kind of talked about it. I've seen some things on social media. I've seen some other people talk about it. But I'm curious your opinion on it. Is it better for someone like, me and maybe my situation where the payment is less or it's easier, but you're just trapped in it for longer? Do you have a certain viewpoint on it?
Yeah, I maybe have a little bit of a contrarian viewpoint. Most of the stuff I see online, there's a lot of hate on this 50-year mortgage.
I'm getting excited. Okay.
I don't think it's that bad of an idea.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, most people are not in a mortgage for the term and the life of the mortgage. Most of our mortgages, when they amortize all the way out, you're paying the majority of your interest on the front end. It would be nice to see that amortization schedule flip flop a little bit. Maybe at least half of the payment going to principal. So it's just your first 5 years on a 30-year mortgage. It feels like it's going all interest on the 50-year mortgage. I don't know maybe it's 7 or 8 years, 9 years. Who knows? It's mostly interest, and so. But it does make it a little bit more affordable. The funny thing is it happens to be that Trump floats this out, and pretty much anything that comes out of his mouth is either people love it or they absolutely hate it. Yeah. And there's a lot of hate online on the 50-year mortgage. I don't think it's that bad of an idea. We're trying to figure out how to make houses more affordable, how the younger generation will start to say, yeah, I can do this again. I'm excited about buying a house. That's really good for the US economy. It's really good for, that ultimately the American dream and buying that house and living in it. Most of the time you're not staying in a mortgage, the life of the mortgage. The average time that somebody has a mortgage before they sell or refinance is just over 7 years. And so even on a 30-year mortgage. And I mean, here's the thing that I think is crazy. One, mortgage is just the cost of the opportunity, right? What is the arbitrage? What is the cost of the difference of the opportunity I'm getting into versus what that money is going to cost me? And you got to just look at it. And the fact that people are like, oh, you're going to pay X amount more in interest, that's over the life of the loan. Right. No kidding, you're going to pay more interest on a 50-year versus a 30-year. We have 10-year, 15-year, 20-year mortgages, and you're paying a lot more on a 30-year mortgage than you are on a 15-year mortgage as far as interest goes, because the fact that you're borrowing the money for longer. And so I think you got to look at the arbitrage of the opportunity. What are the pros and cons of home ownership? What is what kind of an opportunity is there to buy this home, start to set down roots, build families, get established in a community, all those different benefits of home ownership that, and then ultimately the appreciation of it. We talked an episode or two ago about the difference between the net worth of homeowners versus renters. And it was like $10,000 versus $400,000, 40x difference. And so that's an opportunity there that might be more available for somebody if they're able to finance that property for longer, make it more affordable. The fact of the matter is wages are not keeping up with the cost of things going up. And so the ultimate solution to these problems is people make more money. And so, nobody's going to come save you on that one right now. Right. And so the way for people to make more money is a lot of times side hustles, entrepreneurship, business ownership, the right investments, all those different things. But at the end of the day, if you're saying, hey, listen, the younger crowd is kind of giving up on the dream of home ownership, I like that these conversations are coming out there saying, hey, how can we make it more affordable? How can we make it to where somebody can qualify? I've heard the other ideas floated around where Fannie or Freddie or maybe both of them were floating around the idea of lowering the minimum credit score to get into a mortgage from 620 down to I don't know what they were going to lower it to. And I'm not a fan of that. I think that's really flirting with what we were doing back in the mortgage crisis of if you could fog a mirror, you could get a mortgage. And there were people that were, I think you have to earn the right to borrow money. And I think that is showing that you have some level of fiscal responsibility, paying bills, doing that stuff. And if you don't, and you are not showing that you care that much, I think you shouldn't probably be able to. You probably need to learn that skill set, develop that skill set. But 50-year mortgage, I don't think it's that bad of a deal.
Okay.
You're talking about appreciating assets. You're talking about an asset that's going to go up in value over time, and it's a very stable asset. It doesn't have big swings and spikes. Nobody has a problem pulling out 20 years on a damn boat that's going to go down in value, and just so they can afford a $300,000 wakeboard boat
Right.
because they can't afford it. They're like, well, I'm going to loan it for 20 years. There's 15-year car loans. These are depreciating assets, and you don't see anybody throwing a lot of shade on those types of loans. They should. I mean, they might be, maybe they are, but the 50-year mortgage seems like it's gotten a lot of pushback, and I don't know. I think that I think if you can help people get into an opportunity that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to, you can make it where it's more affordable. There's the benefits of being able to own these homes, of appreciation, like I said, establishing yourself in a community, growing a family, putting down those roots and really getting, that is good for the American economy. It's good for American communities.
Oh yeah,
to have people who are established and invested in those areas, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And so I think that there's a lot of benefits in any of these conversations where we can help the younger generation get into homes. I think is a huge benefit. I mean, if you had to just look at one reason why, look at the difference in net worth: 10,000 versus 400,000 on average.
Right.
That's a massive argument, in my opinion, to own homes, and we should do what we can for that younger generation to try to help them and encourage them to be able to buy those homes. And if that's the banks extending those mortgages out a little bit longer, likely you're not going to pay on a mortgage for 50 years, right? And so you're likely going to be refinancing, or you're going to be selling and moving up into a house, and you're able to start to parlay some equity. Maybe you don't have to take that big of a mortgage out. Maybe your earning power has gotten better, your buying power, all those different things. So I don't think it's that bad of a deal.
Interesting. All right. Good take on it.